Hello, and welcome back to Forge Yourself Forward. I'm your host, Mike. If you're anything like me, you may have difficulty sitting down for basically any period of time. It's something I've struggled with most of my life. I don't tend to like to sit in one spot for very long. I'm a pretty active guy, like to be moving, walking around, and sitting still is essentially almost like death to me. But the problem with that is, as you get older, there's anything that you want to accomplish, anything that actually takes real creativity or thought or insight, analysis, sometimes you have to be able to sit down, sit in a quiet spot for a period of time without interruption, without getting up, and without being distracted. I just want to go over a few of the things that I do or I've found that actually help me. Now, I have tried a variety of different things, whether it's time management, planning, classical music, the gamut of different things, even drinking coffee. For some people who are very hyperactive, they seem to find, or at least there's wives' tales, that it could make you more passive. I've never found any of this to be true. For me, however, some of the tips that I found that work for allow me to sit down, for instance, if I want to read for 30 minutes, if I want to sit and have deep work with regard to my work, if I have to analyze something, or if I want to write a journal entry, if I want to really think about, for instance, the next episode of the podcast, I have to be able to sit down. So here are the few things that I do that I find make me successful in being able to sit still and think for long periods of time. First, I root almost everything in exercise. Sounds a bit counterproductive, but it's not. Before I go on any sort of long sitting period or long thought period, I like to root my actions beforehand in exercise, whether that's going to a CrossFit class, walking, rowing, jogging. It could be any form of exercise, whatever works for you. But I find that I have to burn out some of my energy. That could be as little as 5 to 10 minutes. It could be as long as an hour. It varies on the day. It varies on where my mental kind of focus is and how much energy I have. For instance, this morning, I did about a 45-minute CrossFit class. It was great. Burned out a lot of energy, so I was able to really sit. I was able to read today. I was able to sit here, come up with an idea, and recording it for you now. So I always like to kind of ground everything in physical exercise, whether that's getting up, walking for 5 minutes to be able to sit down for 15, whether that's going for a long workout in the morning, or just finding some way of being physically active in order to burn some of that extra energy off so that you can sit down and relax. The second thing that I found is don't necessarily create these long marathon sessions of having to sit still for, 3 hours straight. I have never found that to be useful. When I was in law school, I can assure you I never studied for more than 45 minutes at any given time before I probably got up, went to get a drink of water, or went to the bathroom, then came back. I can't really focus for much more than, say, 30 minutes to 45 minutes before I need a break. And I think a lot of the science actually seems to back that up. Most human beings can't really focus for hours on end without any breaks. Some people will say they are, but I think the overwhelming evidence seems to indicate that short breaks allows our attention span to get back up. So if you're finding difficulty in sitting for long periods of time, schedule frequent breaks, maybe every half hour, every 45 minutes, whatever works for you. And this is going to be a lot of trial and error, is what is probably best. For me, anything more than about a half hour before I get up, just stretch my legs a little bit, could be for as short as 3 minutes. I seem to be able to get back and do another 20 to 30 minutes. So give it a try in terms of that. Lastly, you have to practice. And I know it sounds utterly ridiculous, practice sitting. You do. One of the most difficult things that I've ever found is being able to sit quietly in a room by myself without any sort of television, music, or my phone. Be able to sit and just think. It's something we certainly do not do enough of. I think in this go kind of instant gratification society, a lot of people don't just sit down by themselves and let their mind wander or think or reflect. It's very hard to do. It's something that I have struggled with for the last few years. It takes me, at this point, I can kind of sit for about 5 to 10 minutes quietly before I need to get up. It's hard. It takes practice, and you have to give yourself a little bit of grace. Start with just a minute or 2 minutes. Set a small timer somewhere far away. Sit and just be. The more that you practice this, I can assure you the better you will get. And what I have found is I actually can be more productive in those short spans of time, for instance, 30 minutes, 45 minutes sometimes, than I ever was if I sat down or forced myself to sit down for 2 to 3 hours. I usually found that was just me kind of building it up in my own mind. Oh, I sat down for this long. Yeah, but did you accomplish what you really needed to do? If you're clear on what you need to accomplish and you give yourself a little bit of grace, knowing, all right, I'm going to sit down for 30 minutes. Let's just do it for 30 minutes. Get up, walk around for 5 minutes. You may be surprised at how much more you accomplish in a shorter span of time than if you spend all day. I've been guilty of this a lot. It's something I have struggled with and I still struggle with. Those are some of the things that I have found that have helped me, somebody who doesn't really like to sit, but has to, especially if I want to do this, work, or just reflect on my own thoughts. Give it a try, see what works for you, and if you have something better, put in the comments. I'd love to hear what other people do in order to help them sit still for a period of time, something that I think we all struggle with at times. Thanks for joining me.